All right, hi everybody. Meris here. This is going to be a little bit different than stuff that we've done in the past, so bear with me if this is a little strange or slow to get into. Um, but what I wanted to do was take a little bit of time, especially at the end of each split, and kind of reflect on our split and talk about big topics that I think need to be addressed. Gonna call it sticks and stones because why not? But yeah, this is the first attempt at this, so let's see. I'm gonna be posting it on our YouTube, which you should see. Most of the games that we casted this split have been migrated over there, so that you can continue to watch them throughout. However long you want to, you can go back and see those plays and those good moments. So that's a nice positive. Um, I might turn this background music off if it gets a little too much, but this is the Nico Champion theme. Um, the Fiddlesticks one was too loud, unfortunately. Um, so I wanted to take a moment and talk a little bit about some current events that have been going on. And I know that none of us have been living under rocks. There's a lot of things happening with regards to the pandemic, specifically in esports, a lot of people coming through with assault and sexual assault allegations and things like that. And the world's just a really depressing place right now. And I wanted to make sure we've made posts about this, but I really wanted to hit home the fact that we at least hope as a team that we're a small family for you. And I've I've experienced a lot of abuse in my past and things like that. I've gone into a little bit more detail, like on my personal Twitter. I can talk about it if you want to. But for the purposes of this, just know that I can empathize with you if things are going just terrible. If you need someone to talk to, please reach out to myself. Please reach out to Lane or to Winged. We're we're here for you. The team is here for you, and it's just going to be a little bit of a safe space for everyone, and one where I hope we can have positive discussions about mental health and things that really matter. And I want Return of the Middlesticks to be this positive driving force. Maybe not a big part of your life, but something that you can at least look back and reflect on positively. So with that in mind, I did want to take just a small step back and recap some of the cool stuff that has been happening. Our spring split was absolutely incredible. Our gold team took home first place with a big upset of GSM in the finals. Just really showing what they had on the Rift and doing very well. Our Platinum team fell a little bit short of expectations, but I think that our players learned a lot about themselves and how they want to play and how they want everything to go, basically. So I hope that at least in that reflection, they were able to grow throughout the spring split. The Diamond team just crushed it. I don't want to talk too much about that, but going into summer split, the summer splash, we had 3 teams coming in. Our Platinum team is composed of pretty much entirely new people to Return of the Middlesticks, only Karasuda and Black Salt returning. And they had just an unprecedented season, dropping one single game, going 14-1 in game score and 7-0. Overall, it's just an incredible regular season, and I'm really excited to see them in the playoffs. And we brought back part of the OG lineup. Had a couple of struggles, especially early on in the split, and I'll get a little bit more into some of that later on. But really rebounded, 5-2, nothing to scoff at all. Made the playoffs, and now again ready to make another big run. So with those positives in mind, I do want to take a step forward then and look at what the role of Return of the Middlesticks is. Right now, we're just an amateur esports organization dedicated to winning. There's nothing differentiating. There's nothing, even super interesting about that. And while winning is very cool, very fun, I think that we can do better as an organization and as sort of the father figure in this family with respect to that dang dude who is of course the Middlesticks Allfather. But I want to make sure that we're going to step up and become that positive place that I mentioned. With that in mind, we're going to make small changes to our mission statement, which is going to focus on making sure that our players, when they leave Return of the Middlesticks, have become better versions of themselves. There's a lot of nuance to that, but what is going to boil it down to is I want us to focus on a couple of different things. I'm going to get into some of that a little bit later on, but we're going to change our mission and try to make some changes that reflect not that we're going to go after the dubs, because I think that happens when our players are self-actualized, when they're feeling like better versions of themselves anyway, but we're going to focus on self-growth and on making sure that our teams and our players have what they need to perform well and to also take that into the rest of their lives, because we're not a professional organization. We're not going to be a professional organization. While I hope that we eventually get players that can go on to Academy or to LCS, that'd be really, really cool. But it's not going to happen, more than likely. And it's something that, as long as we have become that positive influence, that the way a lot of people look back on like high school sports or college sports, then we will have fulfilled our role. With that said, we're going to focus on two core principles that I think have defined Middlesticks in the past and will continue to do so in the future. The first one is perseverance. When our teams get knocked down, when we take some tough losses, we always bounce back and give better performances. We do not forfeit games. We do not drop out of tournaments. We continue to try and improve. And the other one is creativity, which I think originally, and even reflects in our name, Middlesticks wasn't a meta pick, isn't a thing that was considered good at pretty much any point. And yet we got creative. We have that dang dude on the cutting edge with his cane and his Middlesticks. We have other creative picks, and even if we don't have creative picks, we have things like Aikato's pathing through the jungle that's very creative and brings just that spark of genius into both gameplay and I think something that we can carry through into, other avenues. With that in mind, I did want to go ahead and provide the basis for something that I'm going to hand out at the end of each split, which is going to be our Sticks Exemplar Awards to people who I think have best represented these core values of Return of the Middlesticks, and it's something that I know I might be a little bit disconnected from, but I hope that at least going forward we can make this more worthwhile, maybe even more tangible. I'll get, something other than maybe just a Discord flare. So for perseverance, I really did want to highlight Lane. This split hasn't been the best for Lane. He took personal responsibility and for what happened with our Return of the Treeline team. And then coming off of that, had a couple of very, very rough games that he immediately went into the Discord, accepted personal blame, said he was going to improve, and then he did. And the last couple of games of this split, Lane has been playing out of his mind, just really doing well, incorporating the Volley Bear pick, and he's taken a lot of ownership for things and tried to make things right, which is what I really want to commend him for. Someone else I considered for perseverance would have been Karasuda on the Platinum team. He's often the forgotten member of this Platinum team that we've created, and from hearing about some of the things that have happened in comms, took kind of a negative light on some of the things that had been happening within the team, but it seems like he's been playing really well. I've heard that he's communicating more, and I did want to shout him out as kind of an honorable mention. For creativity for this split, I wanted to give it to X-Craze, mostly for the memes that have just constantly been making us laugh, but also with some of his gameplay. He's been roaming around. He's been creating plays that a lot of other Platinum mid laners have not been making. Um, as the honorable mention here, I did want to give it to that dang dude because he's always super creative with his champion picks and, showing us what the Middlesticks is capable of. But yeah, those are our two Sticks exemplars for summer 2020. So, what's next? Well, next is playoffs, and I'm not going to really want to interrupt what great things that we have going for playoffs, but for next split, I do want to take a bigger role in terms of coaching. I know I'm not the best player, but I have some background in a couple of different things that I think can really benefit teams outside of that. So the theme that I would really like everyone to focus on for the end of this split, for all of next split, is going to be communication. And what I mean is the way that we're communicating. So if before you say something, before we get testy with each other, I want to think about the way that the words you're about to say are going to come across, and think about the ways in which we communicate differently, I guess, how it might be perceived, even if you mean something as a joke, how other people might take that and reflect upon that. And that's going to stem back to kind of the being a better person. If we can focus on the way that we communicate, do that better, we can hopefully take that into things like work, like school, and whatnot. So from a team perspective, the biggest thing is that I'd like everyone to think about the way that we shot call and how we respond to that. If one person says, hey, we're going to do this, I want everybody else to be on board or to immediately offer a counter suggestion. If you're not on board with the call, if you go halfway and don't commit to something, that's a much worse outcome than just following that initial call. So that's going to be the first thing that I'd like everyone to look at, is making sure that there's no split calls, there's no split decision. Either go for a play or immediately say that we're going to do something else. And if there's going to be that argument, make sure that we're communicating in ways that aren't hurtful or things like that. And this includes communication outside of the organization. While I've loved the memes, I don't think any of them have gone too far at this point. We focused entirely on gameplay and things like that. I do want us to be cognizant of how it can be received by other teams and make sure that we're not stepping into the role of being bullies or villains necessarily. So, in terms of greater things, what's next? I would like to see us put together a P-Cup team. I'm going to start like kind of a soft sign up if people are interested in doing that, and seeing if we can form a team for this even, because the point system is a thing. And then GRLCS Fall is coming up, and while I'd love to see all 10 players return that we currently have, plus adding a gold team, I don't know what everybody else's plans are, but I want us to be thinking about that, especially as the season winds down, and making sure that we're in a position to bring some good people on board if we need to. So that's all for Sticks and Stones episode 1. This went a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm at almost 14 minutes, but if you made it to the end of this, thank you for putting up with me, and I really look forward to working with you and to hopefully seeing some positive results from these small changes that we're going to make. So thank you so much for being a part of the Middlesticks organization. I really appreciate every person who takes the time. I really appreciate all of our former players as well, especially those that stop in and say hello and continue to support us. If you do have a friend or somebody who just wants to be involved, invite them to the server, have them message me. We can always use more help, more good people involved in our organization. So, again, thank you, and good luck in the playoffs to our teams, and we'll see you at the end of next split, I guess, for another one of these.